Hello all, Old Geek here, and it's been a little while since I last had a flick through a Dragon magazine. And this is the Dragon 16, Volume 3, Number 2 from July 1978, still costing $1.50, which would be lovely nowadays. But of course, this was a time in the 70s. I was 6 years old and probably playing in dirt when this was when this was released. Right, let's have a little look. Front cover art. I'm going to say this now. I think this is probably the best Dragon cover I've seen yet. It's not perfect. The sword looks a little bit out of perspective. I'm guessing the artist has tried to make the foot and the sword appear in the foreground, and thus it looks a little bit shifted. But it's a lot more dramatic and it's a lot more appealing than most of the previous ones. I think that's pretty good. I like the background. I like the fact that this barbarian type warrior is in an action pose, and yeah, that's good. That's decent. What's the name of the artist? Is that Dean Morrissey, Len Morrissey, Ken Morrissey, Jem Morrissey? Somebody fill me in the comments below. It looks like Dean to me, but certainly Morrissey. It's not an artist I'm familiar with. Ninja, the DM's Hitman, the Green Magician Part 2, and Realism versus Game Logic. Okay, those are the articles on the cover. They still haven't really... That text on the cover, at least it's now got decent contrast and is readable, but yeah, they've had a few where you can't really read it properly. Wellpather advert. Wellpather made good miniatures. They don't make good adverts. I mean, the image they look a bit clearer than previous editions, but they don't really have sold me the miniatures based on that. Announcing two important new releases from TSR, Gamma World. So this is the box set of Gamma World, being released at Origins. Also being released, oh no, not at Origins, at Gen Con 11 this time. They're releasing the Player's Handbook for AD&D. Ooh. Big year, 1978 then. Right. Contents. Ninja, the ultimate PC, the DM's Hitman. Ultimate NPC. So, an NPC class. Fine. The Green Magician, that's that story that wasn't finished in the previous edition of the Dragon. Near Eastern Mythos, Metamorphosis Alpha, Sorcerer's Scroll, Game Balance, Dragon Mirth, reviews. Okay, let's see what they have to say. And let's have a little look at what Tim Kask has to say. Oh, first things first, who's the artist on the cover? Doesn't say. Definitely comment. Comment below, let me know. Right, okay, due to the length of the conclusion of The Green Magician, we found it necessary to add an additional 4 pages to this issue. Contrary to what some Philistines might think, this is not a fiction magazine. The Philistines I refer to are the ones that don't want to see any fiction at all in these pages. Guilty of being a Philistine. To forestall the howls, oh, the extra 4 pages were added to compensate, not that the story needs compensating for. It has always been the Dragon's contention that role-playing gaming requires large amounts of stimulation to ensure fresh and viable campaigns. Due to the fact that virtually all of the good role-playing games require liberal interpretation, yes they do, fresh ideas are paramount. We will continue to bring you quality heroic fiction. It's basically digging their heels in saying, no matter how much you moan about the stories on our pages, we are going to keep providing them because we know better. I can see their point. I mean, I've said in all of my read-throughs of these, I don't read the fiction in these magazines. I don't read much fiction anyway, unfortunately. And these days we have got other sources to get our inspiration from. And back in the 70s, You were limited by what films you could see, what was on fewer channels on television, and, of course, books. And books were the main source back then in those pre-internet days. So I can understand why. I can understand. And if I'd have been a teenager, I mean, I might well have, to get my money's worth out of the magazine, I might well have read things and got some ideas from them. I just find there's enough crap buzzing around my dodgy old head nowadays to draw from that. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Right. Let's move on. Fourth annual Strategist Club Awards for Creativity in Wargaming. Oh, you vote then, do you? Well, ballots must be postmarked no later than 28th of July 1978. So, obviously I'm too young to have voted, but you were voting for Outstanding Game, Outstanding Professional Wargaming Publication, Outstanding Game Design, Outstanding Miniature Figure Series, Outstanding Miniatures Rules, and a Fantasy Gaming Hall of Fame. Posthumous and living authors, in a recognition to their contributions to fantasy gaming, please vote for one in each category. So one posthumous, one living. Present members are R.E. Howard, ERB. Nah. Again, let me know in the comments below who ERB is. H.P. Lovecraft, J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, Roger Zelazny, Andre Norton, and Fritz Leiber. Do not vote for any of those. No, because they're already in there. So who's ERB? Who? Oh, I'm going to feel stupid, aren't I? No, I don't know. Don't know. Oh, Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's come to me. It's come to me. I've never heard him described as ERB before, though. Right. Letters to the Editor. A rebuttal to the Cthulhu mythos revisited by Gerald Gwynn. And this is a rebuttal from J. Eric Holmes. A name that will be familiar to people who know their old D&D. He did, of course, his own edit of the early D&D set. Right, what's he arguing about? Because it's bound to be a Nerdrage pedantic argument. He's telling Gerald Gwynn that he's wrong about various aspects of the Cthulhu mythos. This is, if you've ever been on an old school message board or old school discords, this is what you get all the time. Well, actually, no, actually, I'm right, you're wrong, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Instead of shagoths, these creatures are known as shoggoths. You are right, Mr. Gwynn. Yeah. Although Laney's Cthulhu mythology, a glossary gives both spellings. If you're going to complain how to spell words not intended in the first place for the human tongue, may I point out that in your letter you have consistently misspelled August Derleth's first name. Oh, burn. Burn. Things never change, do they? Right, Near Eastern mythos. We've already had one edition with the Japanese mythos. Was the other one Aztec? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read through these Dragon magazines, so I can't remember which mythos ones have been summarised. And this is listing rudimentary stats for gods and demigods. Near Eastern will be Babylonian, Sumerian, Mesopotamian, that sort of area, won't it? Yeah. Anu, Marduk. Yeah, those are the sort of names. One of my favourite sections of deities and demigods is this one. They're pretty cool. But I'm now, as I get older, the more I get a little bit frustrated by the statting of everything to make them something for the PCs to kill. And this article has a bit of a limitation to it, in that they are just little snippets for each one. I would like to see a bit more flavour and a bit more depth. Anyhow, it's a good idea to have these names out there for people to use, because even just the names alone can inspire. Look, S. Oh, this bit I didn't see. S Sumerian, B Babylonian, and C Canaanite. Okay, so you've got An Sumerian, Anu Babylonian, or L Canaanite, father of the gods. Same god, 3 different names. I hadn't noticed that before. Enlil, or Marduk, or Baal, storm god. Okay, great. Yeah. I like that. I do like to see that sort of thing. Gives you more names to play with. Right. Zooming through. There's Gilgamesh, the supreme Mesopotamian hero. Indeed, epic. The Humbaba, Scorpion Men. Bit of dodgy artwork. It's early Sutherland. Some magic items and some other deities' names. Quality, yeah. The ultimate NPC ninja, the DM's hitman. In recent weeks, we have received a number of requests for more detailed and developed information to include in campaigns. Here it is, the DM's hitman. Got a crew of 2 powerful PCs, let a couple of ninjas show up, and they'll be happily bumping off each other in no time. Have another NPC that has a score to settle with 1 or more PCs. Let him hire a ninja, or 2. If the PC defeats a ninja, it could become a matter of clan honour, and so on, and so on. Have fun with this one. A word of caution. These are bad dudes. Don't go overboard. This was originally submitted as a PC. It was far too powerful for that. Probably a monk on steroids, basically. Monk crossed with assassin on steroids. Okay, let's have a little look at what they can do. Subclass of assassin. Combination of samurai, monk, thief, and assassin. Alignment is strict neutrality. Yep. In all encounters, there's an automatic 20% chance that the being or thing encounter will consider the ninja to be of its own alignment. Okay. Knows lots of languages. May not be multi-professional. No limit by race at how high a ninja may rise. Very good night vision. Makes sense. Very hard to surprise. Good at tracking. Can feign death. Can travel a long way. Good with poisons. Let's see what else they've got. They don't like to wear armour. I've never liked that framing in rules. We get that with modern D&D with druids. I've seen it written so many times. In the 5e rulebook it says a druid will not wear metal armour. And so many people have come up and says, it says will not, it doesn't say cannot. My druid will, because you won't tell me how to roleplay my character. That expression, I think, says it all. I prefer the approach of anyone can wear anything, anyone can use any weapon, but you are denied your class abilities if what you are wearing is too cumbersome. So, if you are a druid and you put on metal armour, not only are you unhappy, you can't do any druid stuff. And as a DM, I'd make you atone for that. You can do it. If you're a thief, you can put on plate armour, but you're not going to be climbing walls or moving silently in plate. You can wear it. And then you look at the DM Dungeon Master's Guide where it says, experience points required for next level. Extra cost for training, for not operating within your class. Because you won't be earning much XP when you're operating outside your class. That's part of the point. Anyway, Should we move on? and then there's no, let's not move on. The weapons. I'm the sort of DM who will allow a magic user to pick up a sword and try and hit with it, but you're going to have to use that hefty non-proficiency penalty and obviously attack on a bad attack table. That's the drawback. So it's not that you can't, it's that you can never become good at using it. In the case of armor, it will prevent you from doing your thing. Anyway. Yeah, ninjas definitely look like they know how to use all weapons. Oh, they master weapons. Okay, right, okay. It depends how they disguise themselves. Oh, that's pretty cool. They look pretty powerful. Yeah, they do look pretty powerful. I can see why they said an NPC class only. There's a lot of rules here. I mean, look at this. That's the second page. This is the third page of stuff to do with the ninja. Special items and thievery stuff as well. And it goes on to a fourth page. Various special effects of their weapons. Weapon type versus armor class. Types of shuriken have different modifications. And then it continued on page 34. So yeah, this is quite a complex subclass. So quite a lot for the DM to get their teeth into. And as a DM, I prefer simplicity, flavour and simplicity. But hey ho, everyone is entitled to enjoy their own thing. Advert for Judges Guild. The Adventures of Monty Hall, number 3. Thursday night D&D game for Monty and the boys. This was an attempt at humour from a couple of editions ago and continued last edition. And the first one wasn't funny, so I didn't bother reading the second, and I'm not going to bother reading this. I don't mind that bit of artwork, though. That's quite amusing. That looks like a tramp piece as well. That shading style. It probably is tramp. This guy's looking for a new food source. Are you it? The Pelix. Zinti Warrior. Oh, it's an advert. It's an advert. Okay. Oh, it's a play-by-mail game. Right. Space Squadrons. There's Grenadier Models. From the Sorcerer's Scroll. Role-playing, realism versus game logic, spell points, vanity press, and rip-offs by E. Gary Gygax, the great egg himself. I find these old articles by Gygax quite enlightening because even though he puts his point across in an awkward way sometimes and can sound a little bit up himself, there's wisdom in here. There is wisdom. So they're worth reading. Let me have a little read of this. Despite the continued success of D&D, despite the ever-growing demand for the game, I remain somewhat amazed and very pleased that so many people share a love for the fantastic and heroic with me. It is indeed an unusual honour to have been able to bring so many people so much enjoyment. It tends to make one work harder at other projects so as to make certain the best possible effort is presented. Whatever is done will invariably be compared to D&D, and none of us at TSR have any desire to produce a game which falls short of public expectations. This was written in 1978. If he'd have had a crystal ball, which could have moved his view forward to 1984-85, when the quality of TSR stuff went right down the shitter in terms of editing and just in general, certainly modules anyway. You had datas and what is it? Unearthed Arcana falling apart. You had those slightly overly wordy and unnecessarily fluffy Dungeoneers and Wilderness Survival guides. Yeah, there was some good stuff coming out, but the quality dropped off fairly consistently. So, Gary, 6 or 7 years after you wrote this, it all went a bit wrong. I'll read the rest of this article later, though, because I think this could be interesting. It's quite a long article as well. And this one also continues. And then we go back to Monty Hall. Dodgy editing. Why not finish off the Monty Hall article before starting the Gygax one? Why not? Wouldn't that make sense? Miniature figurines advert. Oh, look. Why magic users and clerics cannot use swords. Don't like that wording. I would add well to the end of it. Because as I said before, I would use the proficiency penalties and XP penalties and whatever's involved to enforce that line of thinking. I wouldn't say they cannot use them. It's that it's not advisable. It's really not advisable. Let's have a little look at this. Oh, a conversation between people. Let's read this out. Whiner. Why can't my wizard carry a mate? DM. He can carry anything he wants, but he cannot use any weapon but a dagger. Whiner. That's not fair. Clerics can use weapons and spells too. DM. They have a different set of rules. Even they can't use edge weapons. Cleric. I've been meaning to talk to you about that. DM. One problem at a time. Reader. Usually he has just finished The Hobbit for the first time and considers himself an expert on fantastic literature. Gandalf had Glamdring. Right. Okay. Firstly, D&D got its inspiration from all these various fantasy sources. And I know they like to play down the Tolkien influence. Yeah. But it isn't an exact copy. Gandalf wasn't just a magic user. He wasn't just a wizard or whatever. He was a demigod. He wasn't a D&D class at all. And the same goes for all of these fictional characters. If you want to be Gandalf, then you'd be playing a demigod. Pick out someone like Merlin from Deities and Demigods and add a level of fighter to him. There you go. So he can use a sword effectively. But no, my point here is that I don't like the framing of can't use. I prefer the framing of can't become proficient with. And obviously if a cleric picks up an edged weapon and his god, and obviously we're talking old D&D here where blunt weapons were required. I know later versions of D&D don't require it, but certain deities would. Then I would certainly have the cleric have to atone for their misdeed by a misdeed being using a proscribed weapon. So I think that adds more to the game. Imagine a cleric fleeing. He's dropped his mace and he picks up a pitchfork, and all he's got to defend against his oncoming mob who are going to tear apart these innocent villagers is a pitchfork. He will use that pitchfork, but afterwards he'll be happy that he helped the innocents, but he'll have to atone for the methods he had to resort to in order to do that. I don't think there's any problem with that. In fact, I like that sort of idea. In one of my games, I had a magic user desperately trying to beat off a pirate. All the magic user had was a big iron skillet that he used to cook with. Improvised weapon. It's not the defined dagger, sling, staff, whichever weapons that your version of D&D say a magic user can use. It's a skillet. But in the heat of the moment, it made for a great bit of storytelling. So, I don't agree with that framing of this article. Just make them aware of the penalties involved and repercussions. Actions have consequences. Origins Convention advert. Alpha Omega Sorcerer's Scroll continues. So that Gygax article, we've had a bit of one article, a bit of another article, another bit of the first article, and another bit of the second article. Editors, get your act together. Ridiculous. Don't know why you have to scatter things like that. Metamorphosis Alpha modifications, not my thing, but some people will find it interesting. I'll just pause on the page. If you want to read it, there it is. Pause the video. Keep going. More of that. There it is. A table, mutated animals. RuneQuest. It's an advert from Chaosium. What year did they come out with Call of Cthulhu? What year did they? I only ever played one session of RuneQuest and it was interesting. I love Call of Cthulhu, so I'm interested to see when, if any, Call of Cthulhu stuff starts appearing in this. Yes. The Green Magician by Part 2 by L. Sprague de Camp. Sprague. I think Sprague. L. Sprague de Camp. Let's see. They've added 4 pages, haven't they, so they can fit all this in. So let's see how long this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, continued on page 32, so they're breaking this one up as well. Bloody hell. Wormy. We got our work cut out. Look at that crowd. Yup, that werebore is giving Irvin a hard time, Frank. Yeah, well, I know how to handle these lichen throats. Lichen throats. Let go of my nose. Oh, who are you calling a warthog? Crunch. Good work, Frank. Good for another dwarf burger, I hope. Dudley, this is dirty business. Yup, I hope I get the next guy. Oh, they're eating, yeah. It's a warthog burger. I've eaten wild boar. That's nice. Not sure I'd want to eat warthog. Have you ever tried warthog? I certainly haven't. Wild boar was lovely. Yes, that's all right. That's all right. Not the best episode of Wormy, but that's still. I quite like that. Lichen throats. That's a decent play on words. More Phineas Fingers. More scrolling through because I don't read Phineas Fingers. And this is that piece of fiction continued. And continued again. So what's that? 7 pages now? 8 pages? 7.5 pages till we get to the end. Okay, so yeah, they added 4 pages extra because that's fine. That's not a bad piece of art there. Oh, more ninja. More ninja. Yet another article spread over multiple pages. Game balance. Oh, advert for Gen Con. Game balance. That's something that people really fuss about nowadays. I'm not overly bothered with a perfectly balanced game. I like to balance the spotlight more than balance the mechanics. But you've got to have some degree of something for fighters to do, something for thieves to do, something for clerics to do, something for magic users to do. But it doesn't have to be perfectly balanced. It just has to be cool things for people to do. But yeah, I'll come back and read this. I think that could be quite interesting. Might even make a video on it. We shall see. We'll see what it says. What? This is the remaining bit of the editorial from Tim Kask on the first page and the last page. Right, so that was page 36, second page. 34 pages between them. Map to the new Dungeon Hobby Shop. Right, oh yeah, okay, then advert to finish. Yep, science fiction game, Steve Jackson. Steve Jackson, because it's Ogre? Is it Steve Jackson? Yeah, designed by Steve Jackson. Okay. Olympico, I don't remember. I know Ogre. I know of it. Right, okay, opinion of this episode. Opinion of this edition of The Dragon. Good cover. Yes, quite like that. We'll move on to this bit. Features. The ninja. Overly complex NPC class, but I like the flavour. I like the flavour of things like that. But I would really, if I was going to use that sort of thing, I would really tone it down. Really, really. I'd tone down all those added mechanics. And I'd just make a lot of rulings on the go. And just flavour it up. The Green Magician, not interested. If I'd been 12 years old and I'd spent my $1.50, or the UK equivalent, which was about 50p, on a magazine, I would read it from cover to cover, including all the small print on the adverts. So I would read it when I was 12 years old. I'm just obviously a bit different nowadays. A bit different, a bit weird. The mythos summaries, a good idea for flavour and as a source of names, but there's not enough detail there. And I'm not a big fan of statting out things as monsters, though it might give you an idea of what they can do. In fact, in Deities and Demigods, I wish they'd made the gods much, much tougher. Much, much tougher. Some of them are very tough anyway, much, much tougher. Metamorphosis Alpha is not my thing. Sorcerer's Scroll, I'm going to go back and read that. Game Balance, I'm going to go back and read that. Adventures of Monty Hall, I'm not going to bother with that. Wormy, that was alright. Phineas Fingers, not going to bother with that. Fantasy Forge, I don't remember seeing Fantasy Forge. Pages 18 and 19. Oh, it's the... Oh. The reason I didn't see it is it's not there. It had White Clerics, a design variant, White Clerics, White Magicians and Clerics cannot use swords instead, and then an advert for Origins. Fantasy Forge is usually just adverts for miniatures, so that's no great loss. Gen Con preview, an update, what's coming? 22, let's zoom down to 22. I don't remember seeing that. No, that's not there either. Oh, that's page 18. Oh, Metamorphosis Alpha modifications. Oh, no, it's there. Oh, this little tiny bit down here. Right, that's why I didn't see it, because it's down there. Right, okay. Thoughts. Some potentially interesting articles that I'm going to go back and read. They've added 4 extra pages for fiction. Fine. 4 more pages for me to ignore. And the ninja, I would read through it and get some ideas from it. Certainly would read through it and get some ideas from it, because I like to see that sort of thing. Those sort of things tried out. Wormy, yeah. Apart from that, it's pretty meh. 3 things in there that are any real interest to me. I suppose it's trying to appeal across the spectrum of the genre of gaming. So obviously, unless you're interested in every type of game, then you're not going to get value from every article. I must say, though, it's one of the worst edited that I've come across so far. Good front cover. Nice to see colour on the pages, and the artwork seems to be... There's more of it. It seems to get... Some of it's a bit patchy, but the front cover's good. But splitting all the article, I mean, the editorial. Why have the editorial on the first and last page? Why not have it... Why put this letter to the editor here? Why not finish the editorial on that page? Why... I mean, things are in the features list, the index, Fantasy Forge, for example, and different things are on those pages. There are things missing from the index. There are too many articles. Almost all the articles are cut in half. and split over multiple pages and then meshed in amongst other articles. It's an absolute mess. Tim Cask, what were you smoking when you edited this one? Yeah, a very average edition. I hope you've enjoyed the run through. I've been the Old Geek. See you soon.